Welcome everybody to another episode of Fantasy News. I am your disheveled goblin host, Daniel Greene, and today I'm going to be trying to keep it as positive as possible because it has been a stressful week here, and I feel like we could all just use some interesting literature space updates. So without any further ado, let us go ahead and jump on into the first story of the week, which is going to be a record-breaking sale in terms of the price for a first edition of J.R.R. Tolkien's Hobbit. That is right, this first ever printing of The Hobbit sold for 49,000 euros, which I'm going to be perfectly honest, maybe this is just my biased, I think Tolkien is GOAT perspective. I thought a first edition Hobbit would go for more, especially with only a few hundred possibly known to be still alive, Jesus, in consumable condition, alive. I have too much of a relationship with these books.
Is alive!
This one of only 1,500 that ever existed was apparently just found on a shelf in Bristol, and no one knew it was there, because that's how these things are found. But the family that discovered this being in their possession actually had an ancestor, I guess you'd say, who knew Tolkien, and that's how they probably got this first edition. So, congratulations, that's amazing. I want it, I'll never have it. Damn. Let's go ahead and move on to the next Tolkien story, because another edition, oh boy, celebrating the 70th anniversary of Lord of the Rings has been released, and it looks so good. This looks, yeah, about as good or better than the last 10 editions of Lord of the Rings / The Hobbit we've covered here in the last year on Fantasy News. Do not get me wrong, this is a stunning looking 70th anniversary celebration of the Lord of the Rings, and with art by Alan Lee. Who could possibly not want to get their hands on this? It's just undercut a little bit, I think we can all agree to say that's fair, by the sheer volume of Tolkien editions we have covered here in the last year of both Lord of the Rings and Hobbit. I love me some new editions, but I read that HarperCollins UK is calling this the Ultimate Edition, and my first thought was, I'm pretty sure I've covered an Ultimate Edition of Lord of the Rings before. This is one of the best looking, but how's the market not saturated? That's my question. This looks great. It's very nice. No price available, no official release date yet. There'll probably be another one next week. That's a joke, but maybe. This is going to take me to the updates I have so far for the Audible situation we are blowing a whistle on, which if you'd like to see a clip from what I'm talking about from the last video, boiling a really complex situation down, what we have found is an unanswered question of whether or not Audible is actually using this system to pay themselves back money. And if you are an Audible Plus author, you are complicit in taking money from other authors' purchases. One of the difficult things about covering more complicated topics like this is it's hard to know exactly what parts of the system audiences are fully aware of and which parts your average consumer might be ignorant to. And I forgot to mention in this video that there is no point in trying to ask individual authors to take off their books from Audible, especially if they are traditionally published. They are in contracts. So yeah, raise awareness, maybe tell them, hey, are you aware that your book is involved in this system? But people cannot just turn around and pull their entire catalogs from Audible, like legally. They cannot do that. There are very rare exceptions to this, but this isn't something where there could be like a mass walk off, which is part of the reason why I feel like Audible is just trying to quietly sign as many people onto this new system as possible. It's also important to keep in mind about half of our concerns in that video were simply questions that need answers that have not been provided. Yes, this system with a few tweaks I feel like could work, but the larger implication about this story as a whole that's bothering me is the fact that there is one company that if they implement a change, they are big enough to just make that the industry standard. And they're doing so, changing a system quietly that has tons of implications, and the communication about all of the details and possible crazy complicated scenarios that could arise because of these two systems merging has been abysmal. We could theoretically get every question we ask answered in a very assuring way, but the fact that we've had to make such a stink to get some of these answers is a problem. And I've done a poor job on my channel of singing Audible's praises when they have done good things in the industry. They have done great stuff in terms of being able to make self-published authors be able to have a career because they're able to go through this system they've built. In many ways, Audible has earned its position. I just think they are carrying the responsibility of being the majority of the audiobook market recklessly here. If you'd like the full context, check out that video. Likely there will be a part 3 in the future as we confirm some more of the contradictory details that have come about. In terms of my stress levels about this, they're about. Get out of the serious territory though and talk about something that is just solidly awesome news. And that is that One Piece has confirmed not only that we've gotten the season 2 trailer, which looked so good, showing us the likes of Robin, Miss Sunday, and Brogy, which that looked way better than I thought it would, so neat. But I'm not gonna lie, I was even more excited to see that the show has already been renewed for a season 3, which makes me hopeful that potentially Netflix will actually begin production on season 3 rather quickly after season 2, and possibly we will not have to wait several years between seasons, which has somehow become the norm with many shows. Waiting several years for 8 to 12 episodes is crazy to me, and I think why so many shows end up failing. But guaranteeing a season 3 of One Piece means we might be getting into some of the more, let's call it, explosive elements of the story without getting into spoilers. I've been really surprised by the number of people who I would have never thought would have been One Piece fans, like my boomer dad, who have fallen in love with the live action show. He even gave the anime a chance. Wasn't his thing, I get it. He was born only a few years after Stalin died. That's not gonna be his cup of tea.
You're like a dinosaur.
And how did the trailer make 2 cigar smoking actually look cool? I thought that would look so dorky, but it works. The costume design team for the show deserves so much praise. And I also want to say shout out to the actress
Ilia Isorelis Paulino
for managing to pull off this transformation to match the character. We often give so much praise and credit to like guys who get super jacked and stuff for roles, but this to me is equally impressive, and talk about dedicated and committed to realizing Oda's vision. God damn. And that's just kind of the vibe of the whole production for One Piece so far. Everyone just seems so all in, and I hope Netflix can maintain that because we all know what Netflix likes to do to popular fantasy shows. Well, I guess not popular enough. Well, this one's popular though. So I have hope we can get to season 5. Because, you know, other franchises I loved never will. Moving on. And just a quick last bit of self-promotion this episode, I swear to you. Another Wheel of Time book summary is available on Patreon. Now you can get up to book 10 or 9, I believe, for just $1. The director's extended cuts from what will be put here on YouTube in the final product, though that final product is going to be polished. We are now getting additional, let's call it, elements to be able to layer into that video to make it all the more immersive and fun for the final version. I really can't wait. It has been the longest and hardest Kayla and I have ever worked on a project, bar none. But this is gonna take us to our book cover reveals of the week, starting with one by Kate Quinn. This was a cover reveal by Goodreads, and that is going to be the Astral Library. That has a premise I've certainly seen before. Books within this library become portals to new worlds, except it's a premise that's so tantalizing and I wish was real in my own life that I'll never get tired of it. I wanna leave this world. I want to go to Ankh-Morpork so bad. And this will be coming out February of 2026, and they did not credit a cover artist. Okay. And in acquisition news, we have seen that
Kirsten
Paul's Asunder has been acquired for publication in January of 2026 by Solaris Books. And this is pitched, and why it honestly caught my eye, as Sabriel meets Witch King. Sabriel? Garth Nix. If you tell me in your comp titles for those who don't know in marketing are the books you put to compare your book to potentially snag in fans of another one. If you tell me your comp title is Sabriel, not only am I interested in your book, but I immediately respect your taste in fantasy as a whole. Sabriel is a masterpiece. I'm going to reiterate that again. And it seems the Canadian rights have been grabbed up by Tor. But the final cover reveal we're going to be covering this week is for Caitlin Breeze's The Fox Hunt, and it is easily my favorite cover reveal of the week. This is as pretty as an unbleached coral patch. God damn, Caitlin Breeze. I love not only the color choices, but that layered in depth. Kieran Diamond, you're a talent. And the pitch to this book is equally as seductive, and I choose that word for an obvious reason. You'll see.
Imma is welcomed into the seductive, debaucherous world of the university's oldest secret society. That is, until her participation in a centuries-old tradition changes her for good and exposes her to a twisted system that keeps this old boys club on top. Emma is a self-effacing, pragmatic second year at England's most ancient university, but the layers of privilege that wind around its dreaming spires and shadowed libraries have barely grazed her. She is worlds away from the university's inner circle, with its wealth and snobbery. What's more, she has little interest, until she wins an exciting research fellowship and is ushered into the glittering debauchery of the university's elite. There, beneath the roaring parties and fizzing champagne, she discovers a shadowy presence. The Turnbull Club, the university's most formidable secret society, has turned out centuries of young men destined to rule. Emma soon finds herself swept up in the splendor of it all and swept into the arms of the Turnbull's leader, the supremely eligible, supremely devastating Jasper Balfour. But every glamoring soiree, expensive dinner, and historic ritual lead her to the night the Turnbulls propose a dark little game, a fox hunt. The women run, the men chase, and Emma finds herself fleeing for her life through the streets, hunted by the boy she loves, because the Turnbulls have a secret. Centuries of power cannot come from nowhere. An ancient magic secures their right to rule in exchange for a sacrifice. They have chosen their mark, but magic is tricksy. It has other plans for Emma. She wakes in the Night City, an enchanting but dangerous world hidden in the shadows. But that salvation has come at a cost. Emma has been transformed, no longer mortal. She's become something beastly. And as she quickly learns, she owes the Night City a great debt. Soon, Emma must not only master the rule of this strange place, but seek her revenge, topple the Turnbells, and ultimately save herself.
And the Tor Nightfire imprint has officially signed Between Two Fires, a book that has made serious waves on TikTok, described as, "And Lucifer said, 'Let us rise against him now in all our numbers and pull the walls of heaven down.' The year is 1348. Thomas, a disgraced knight, has found a young girl alone in a dead Norman village, an orphan of the Black Death, and an almost unnerving picture of innocence. She tells Thomas that plague is only part of a larger cataclysm, that the fallen angels under Lucifer are rising in a second war on heaven, and that the world of men has fallen behind the lines of conflict. Is it delirium? Or is it faith?" Now, if last week you were excited to hear that the Greenbone Saga is going to be getting a tabletop RPG, I'm happy to say you possibly might not have to wait too long to at least give it a test play. And that is because currently they are taking applications for beta players through the link just below the like button. Wink. And yes, I absolutely applied, and I will not try and tilt the scales at all by including this story and telling everyone that I applied and would love to be a playtester. I'm a corrupt bastard who's abusing his power. But to cover this next story, I need to skip-a-dee my riz into the slang terms, because we have seen that the Gen Z smash hit success Kpop Demon Hunters has not only shattered so many streaming records for Netflix, but this urban fantasy K-pop movie has also now had its song Golden reach #1 on the Billboard 100. Holy shit. And it is the first ever song by a female K-pop artist to do so, and it's the first #1 for a girl group since Destiny's Child. And I have personally not consumed this story. Kayla has, absolutely adores it. And there are all kinds of rumors about sequels and things along those lines. Let me know if you'd like to see me deep dive Kpop Demon Hunters. I always go into things with an open mind and want to kind of see what the hype is about, but would people want like a full review of it, or would that be more like a second channel, just casually consume it thing? This is violently catchy. I have not seen this movie, so many of these visuals are perplexing. I don't know why someone is being ripped between two worlds violently, but are they like superheroes? They have dual identities, I assume? It's like Peter Parker, Spider-Man? Okay. Also, is the plot of this that their music gives people superpowers?
No.
Oh. Are they doing the she has tattoos that are ugly but they're actually badass thing? Yeah, they are. Okay, so she's the main one. That's the one that they...
Who is she, the purple hair?
Yeah. Yeah, she's the main one, clearly. I'm going to get hate for this. This is the most corporate-sounding pop I've ever heard in my life. That does not mean it's bad, but this is the safest thing I've ever heard, ever produced by a human. Question, though. Question.
Okay.
What's the bad guy? There's been no threat. There's no fight.
Yeah, there is. You just haven't seen it in the music video.
Okay. It's, you know that one song that's like, I'm a small ship in an ocean, this is my fight song? Same vibes. Exact same vibes. Do people know they have superpowers? Because she just made light appear in front of her fans.
Special effects.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that saves a lot of money for the production. What does the production team think? Does the production team know?
They're just like, wow, they have surprise special effects that even we didn't know. That's amazing.
Can you imagine being in charge of pyrotechnics and other pyrotechnics start going off? I think I basically got the movie from that. Now, audience, for this next story, I would like to bring your attention to some examples of modern art, if I may. And that is in regards to LEGO's recent endeavor into making sets inspired by the smash Netflix success, Wednesday. As you can see, they've started this new series from them with a trunk that, as someone who has not watched the show, I assume is tangentially related to the character Wednesday. After that, we see a hand friend crawling all around, and may I say, inspired choice. Wonderful. From here, we're going to jump to seeing this splendid castle, and I'm sorry. Zoom in and enhance on that real quick. A little bit more. One last time. LEGO, what in the Playmo pandering is this? I don't mean to sound upset or irritated even, but LEGO is LEGO and Playmobil is Playmobil. After looking at this, I want to gouge my eyes out. Not to exaggerate or be extreme, but this is like apocalyptically horrid in terms of a LEGO change, in my opinion, allegedly. I'm probably overreacting, but why? Why? You don't do this for Harry Potter, Star Wars, and so many others, but suddenly we get elongated, proportionally wrong to the set LEGO freaks? It's a good design, though. I want to say, like, the design for all these sets is quite well done. Legoneers, if they're called that? Legionnaires? No. Whoever made this decision, I have zero investment in this whatsoever. Now, this next story is going to be something I'm very conflicted in my opinions on. I believe Greta Gerwig is a great filmmaker. Not one of my all-time favorites, but someone who has produced films that I would consider fantastic. And there have been quite a few conflicting opinions about her upcoming adaptation of C.S. Lewis's Narnia. And personally for me, I'm okay with a lot of changes being done to a franchise through an adaptation as long as there is a purpose behind it, right? If Greta Gerwig is trying to remain loyal to the Christian themes within C.S. Lewis's epic, fine. If she's trying to intentionally go against them and that's the artistic intent of her adaptation, I think that's a risky play, but she's a very talented artist and I'd at least be curious to see what she's planning to do with it. But what is raising at least kind of a red flag for me, it's doing a little bit of this, it's not all the way up, is the first book in the Chronicles of Narnia she is going to be adapting is not The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, but instead The Magician's Nephew. And of course, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe is supposed to be set during World War II. That's well known. Except it seems that this prequel, which originally takes place around the beginning of the century, is now being bumped up to take place possibly in the 50s, which if we're keeping with the timeline means The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe could be pushed up to be taking place in like the 80s, 90s, or early 2000s. All of that is speculation. but it's weird.
Now keep in mind, this also could just be the establishing of a framing device even for the movie, where we get something that actually is taking place in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and then we jump back. Who knows? Greta Gerwig is a stylistic director, so don't jump the gun on this one.
I think what's just safest to do at this point is set expectations that this is someone who is a talented adapter of material taking on C.S. Lewis's work. And you should go into it knowing they're not someone who necessarily is interested in doing something faithful, but they'd like to do something interesting for themselves. And I understand that's going to bother fans. You're allowed to be bothered. But I also like to look at the fans who are a bit extremely bothered by this and have a little bit of ha-ha time at them. So I'd like to read what I consider to be the quintessential please go outside response to this news.
I'm very disappointed that Narnia, Magician's Nephew, is going to be a Back to the Future time jump movie all about rock and roll with Elvis Presley and other British rock and roll artists. And no, I won't see Greta Gerwig Narnia film with sacrilegious overtones. This is very disrespectful to C.S. Lewis book. It's going to be a false female Aslan lioness, like in the last Battle book. This is the worst book to film adaptation ever. I'd rather read 7 Narnia books and watch BBC Narnia 4 TV series films 1988 through 1990 with The Silver Chair and Disney Narnia Lion Witch Wardrobe 2005, Prince Caspian 2008, Voyage of the Dawn Treader 2010, and wait for Japanese anime version of Narnia Magician's Nephew. Meantime, I'm ignoring the awful 2026 Narnia film, which I predict will flop in theaters and win a Razzie Award for worst book to film adaptation ever since Aragon 2006 and The Last Airbender 2010 film.
That's all, I gotta go.
What the fuck was that?
But this has just been your latest episode of Fantasy News. Like and subscribe if you have not already, and hit the Patreon if you'd like to support what I do here. Check out this video if you'd like to see what we have exactly uncovered about Audible recently and how it could potentially change the entire audiobook industry as a whole. Thank you all for the continued support here. Have a good one. Peace.